Hi, it's me Tom again. What's up? My first video in 2021 and things still kind of really suck out there. There's still lockdown and on top of that it's also really cold right now where I live. So that makes things even more depressing, I guess, but the show must go on. So I have another set of filters for you today to show. This time it's the smoke filter from Tiffen. I have version 2 and 3, so it's the densities as always, and I have some footage prepared, so check out that, and after that I will give you my thoughts. Enjoy. So first of all, I want to thank you all for getting me to 100 subscribers. I think at this point it's like 110, and yeah, it's slowly, but steadily growing. So I really enjoy that. My videos are also getting quite a lot of views. So my Black Promise video is at like 11,000 views at this point, which is crazy for me. So thank you for that. Just keep it coming. Like my videos, subscribe if you haven't, because come on, I want more. As always, let's first talk about the appearance of the filters itself. When you unpackage it for the first time and look at it, it just looks like a normal filter, glass filter. But when you look at it up close, you see it's a bit milky, a bit foggy. Just like when someone breathes against glass, like it fogs up for a moment. And yeah, that's basically how this filter looks, just in a more subtle way, I guess. Now, how does this filter affect your image? Unlike all the other filters I've shown you so far, this one does things a little bit different. It doesn't smooth out the skin or detail or softens up light sources and stuff like that. This filter creates more of an atmosphere, is I guess the right way to say it. As you can see from the footage, it really does look like there's some kind of atmosphere, haze, fog, whatever, in the room or in the environment. And you really need a light source either coming from the side or directly in the frame to really showcase that effect. Unlike a Black Promise, which creates halation and glow around light, this one just absorbs the light and just smears it over the entire image, sometimes over the entire image, depending on the angle. And yeah, it really does do the same thing real fog or smoke would do in these situations, I guess. Another thing I've noticed that's kind of interesting is that there's also a slightly blue tint to it. Like you notice it more on the stronger density, the smoke-free that I have. And I guess that makes sense, since smoke itself can also have a bit of a bluish kind of look. I'm not sure about that, but I think that is the philosophy behind that. And yeah, it's just something I observed. So the purpose of this filter is basically to create a certain kind of atmosphere, organic look in the air, in the environment, without actually needing a fog or haze machine. So that's very cool. Now let's get into some things that I don't really like about this filter. My number one complaint, as always, with these Tiffen filters is the price, and with this one it's especially annoying because it's not very easy to find right now, and the ones you can find are especially expensive, especially the bigger sizes, which are the ones you should normally get, because then you can just size down with step down rings for all the lenses you have. And yeah, these ones are in Germany, where I live right now, pretty hard to get. I couldn't find much, and I bought mine a year ago, and I already had to compromise a bit on the size on these ones as well. So yeah, depending on where you live, these might not be easy to find. Another thing that I was also already complaining about with other filters from Tiffen is that the jumps between the densities are just too big. Like between 2 and 3 is a pretty massive jump, and I would like a 2.5 for example, but they don't have that, so that's what you gotta live with. Tiffen makes some filters where the jumps are not very big, and other filters start off very strong from the beginning and then just go even stronger. So there's not really a pattern to it. I don't know if it's because Tiffen made some filters like decades ago and others are fairly new and more refined with the densities. I don't know what the actual reasoning behind it is, but as far as I know, from the smoke filters you only get 1, 2 and 3, and I don't know if there's a even stronger version, but that one is probably useless for most cases anyway. But yeah, my number one complaint, or my number two complaint, is that the densities, the jumps between the densities is just too big in my opinion, and I wish there would be more wiggle room. Then there's also the thing of being aware of its effect, because it can get very inconsistent. As I already said, you need a light source in frame or outside of the frame, something bright to really showcase the smoke or haze fog-like effect that it can create. But it can get very inconsistent if you have inconsistent light. Like with other filters, you don't really have to worry about it because it always softens stuff, it always creates halation around light sources. Depending on how strong or how far away, how close they are, there is always a bit of inconsistency, but it's not as extreme as with this filter, where it can really change the picture. Like you just shoot someone against the sun and you get so much glare that the whole image looks like it's drenched in milk or something like that. Because the way this filter works, it needs light, ideally coming from the side or in frame, and then just smears that entire image with it. I don't really know how the thought process behind making this filter was, or if there's an easier way to create this effect. But the trade-off is definitely that you kind of have to fight it sometimes. So you should ideally be in a controlled environment like I am right now. Like I'm using a light that I can control, as you can see. And yeah, I probably just messed up the autofocus, but seems fine. But where was I? But keep that in mind. You need control over your image, as always. You should always have control over your image, but sometimes you don't have control if you shoot something outside or an action scene or something, and depending on the angle, depending on how the light hits your sensor, hits your glass, it can glare a lot, because that is just how this filter works and how it needs a certain light to really create its effect to its full potential. If you just have a cloudy day, just like I showed you in my intro, then there's still an effect, there's still a blue tint over it, there's still this slight atmosphere you can see, but it's very subtle and it can get very noticeable if you don't watch out for how the light hits your camera, your sensor, your lens, everything. You have to keep that in mind at all times. The last thing I really want to get across is that it obviously doesn't replace real fog or haze or smoke. It's just a way to kind of artificially fake it in camera, which is cool, but it's not the same. So real fog, for example, is three-dimensional. You can see it you can move it, you can not touch it, but you can manipulate it in a way. And your filter is always basically the same. It's just a layer in front of your lens, and it's hard to control sometimes, as I said, but so is real fog or a haze machine. Stuff like that is also very hard to control. But in the end, it's always better to use real fog, real smoke, real haze if you have it available. So in conclusion, I think this is a fascinating filter which really creates a certain kind of atmosphere, adds another thing, another layer to your image, and it of course doesn't really replace real fog, but keep in mind you don't always have that stuff available, and even if you have a fog machine, you can't bring it everywhere. You don't always have the time depending on what you're shooting, and sometimes you're straight up not allowed to use something like that because you will set off the fire alarm or something like that. So smoke detectors are always a big enemy in these situations. So this filter is basically a solution to that. If you don't want these crazy halation effects or softening skin detail and all that other stuff that I really like, if you just want to create another layer of atmosphere for your image, depending on what lens you're using, it always depends, then this filter is, I think, a really cool option if you don't have the real thing available. But even if you have, it's still a good thing to have in your camera bag, I think. But just keep in mind, it's a very specialized kind of filter, in my opinion, that is best to use when you have control over your scene. So think of a movie scene that's just at night, then you pull out this filter and you don't need a smoke machine if you don't have one available or can't use it for whatever reason. So this is a very cool filter, very interesting, and I just love everything about the idea of this filter. It's great what you can do with just a piece of glass. And that's it for this video. I hope I was able to help you out. I hope this was interesting for you, and if you enjoyed it, then please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, because there will be more videos coming in the future. And yeah, write a comment if you have a question or want to tell me something else. Always open for feedback and stuff like that. The one thing that I noticed is that I get more comments now that my channel has a bit of traction, but sometimes the comments just disappear. Like, I get a notification on my phone, I see the comment, but I cannot reply for some reason. And when I check in the video, in the comments section, the comment is just gone. I don't know why that is. I don't know if other people have this problem as well, but like, the people aren't using bad words or something like that. I don't know why YouTube just shadow bans or deletes comments. It's very weird because I get the notification, but I can't answer because it doesn't let me. So I just wanted to put that out there so people know if I don't answer you, it doesn't mean I don't care about your question or your comment. It just means that I sometimes am not able to respond because your comment gets automatically deleted. It happens sometimes, like every 10th comment or something just is gone. I don't know why that is. So if you have a question, make sure you write it twice, I guess, or if you don't get an answer, then yeah, get back to me again, because there's literally nothing I can do. So yeah, just wanted to get that across. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.